If you don't learn how to stay calm, life will keep pushing you around. Most people are not broken. They're just tired. Tired of thinking too much, reacting too fast, and feeling like they're always behind. You try to stay positive, but people test your patience. You try to stay calm, but problems keep stacking up. That's real life. And nobody teaches you how to deal with it without losing your mind. But here's the truth. Calm is something you train. Positivity is something you build. You don't need a perfect life, you need better tools. In this video, you're going to learn how to stop the overthinking, protect your energy, handle stress without breaking down, and finally take control of how you feel. No fake motivation, just real steps that work in the real world. If you're tired of losing your peace over things that don't deserve it, this video is for you. It's time to take your mind back. Chapter 1. Pause before reacting so you don't regret it later. You know, staying calm and positive in life doesn't come from luck. It comes from a decision. A clear decision to not let everything around you control what goes on inside you. And one of the most important decisions you'll ever make is this. Pause before you react, because how you respond to anything can either build your future or ruin your peace. Every day, you're going to be tested. You'll face people who don't treat you right. You'll hear things you don't want to hear. Plans will fall apart. Something small will go wrong and it'll try to ruin your whole day. That's real life. But here's the key. You don't have to react to everything immediately. You don't have to give every situation your emotions. Most of the time, if you just pause, even for a few seconds, you stop yourself from saying something you didn't mean. You stop yourself from making the problem worse. You stop yourself from being someone you don't want to be. And that pause, it's not weakness, it's not giving up, it's strength, it's leadership, it's self-control, and in life you need to lead yourself first before anything else works. When someone disrespects you, your first reaction might be anger. You want to shout back, you want to prove your point, you want to protect your pride. But if you react too fast, you lose control. And when you lose control, they win. Not because they're smarter, not because they're stronger, but because you gave them the power to affect your emotions. That's a cost you can't afford. Regret always shows up when you move too fast. You say something you wish you didn't say. You send a message you wish you never typed. You break a connection that could have been fixed. And then you sit with it. You feel it. You carry it around for days or even weeks. All because you didn't pause. I've learned this. Peace doesn't come from a perfect life. It comes from learning to pause, to think, to respond with purpose instead of reacting with emotion. You've got to train that. You've got to practice it. Every time something tries to set you off, treat it like a test. Ask yourself, do I need to respond to this right now? Will this matter tomorrow? Will this matter next week? Most of the things that upset us in the moment aren't even worth 5 minutes of our time. But if we react too quickly, we give them 5 hours, 5 days, sometimes 5 years of our energy. That's how small problems steal big parts of our life. So what do you do instead? You breathe. You stay still for a moment. You let the feeling rise. And you let it pass without grabbing onto it. You don't avoid the feeling. You just don't serve it. You don't act on it. You let your awareness grow. Because when you pause, you see the situation clearly. You realize it's not as urgent as it felt. And now your response is coming from strength, not from panic. You know what happens when you start living this way? People notice. They see that you don't get easily shaken. You don't argue over everything. You don't let little things ruin your day, and eventually they start respecting you more, not because you're louder, not because you're tougher, but because you're in control of yourself. That's real power. There are people who walk through life like ticking time bombs. Every little thing sets them off. They lose their temper, they break things, they break trust. They live in a cycle of stress, apology, and regret. And they wonder why they're not happy, why their relationships feel unstable, why no one listens when they speak. It's because they never learned to pause. I want you to be different. I want you to build a life that's calm on the inside, no matter what's going on outside. And that starts with awareness. That starts with catching yourself right in the moment when your heart beats faster, when your jaw tightens, when you feel that heat rising in your chest, and instead of going into reaction, you breathe. You ask yourself, do I want to feel this way, or is there a better way to respond? That's what mentally strong people do. They don't need to control the outside world to be okay. They control what they allow in. They don't react to every insult. They don't argue over every detail. They protect their focus. They protect their emotional state like it's their most valuable asset, because it is. The truth is, calm people aren't born. They're built. They're built through practice, through setbacks, through choosing a different path when anger feels easier. It's not natural at first, but the more you pause, the more you'll start to feel powerful in moments where you used to feel helpless. That's when you know you're changing. And positivity? That's not about pretending everything's fine. It's about knowing you'll be okay even when things aren't. It's not fake smiles or forced happiness. It's a deep belief that no matter what life throws at you, you can handle it. You can face it without breaking down. And that belief comes from mastering your response, from choosing calm over chaos, from choosing clarity over emotional noise. When you make that a habit, pausing before reacting, you start seeing everything differently. You don't take things so personally. You understand that most people act from their own stress, not from who you are. You stop absorbing their energy. You stop taking responsibility for their anger. You stay rooted in who you want to be. The longer you practice this, the stronger you get. And soon, you're not just avoiding regret, you're creating space for better decisions. You're having better conversations. You're saving your energy for things that actually matter. You're living with more peace, more clarity, and more purpose. So if you're serious about staying calm and positive in life, you've got to start here, right here, with your reaction. Master this one habit, and everything else begins to change. You'll sleep better. You'll think better. You'll treat others better. And most of all, you'll feel better, because you'll be in control of your day, not at the mercy of it. When something upsets you today, and it will, I want you to remember this. You don't owe anyone your reaction. You don't owe the moment your peace. You owe yourself a better outcome. And that better outcome starts with one thing: the pause. Train it like a skill, build it like a habit, strengthen it like a muscle. Because the people who pause before they react, those are the people who stay calm, stay positive, and win long term. Not by chance, not by pretending, but by choosing better every single time. Chapter 2. Fix your sleep if your mind feels unstable daily. If your mind feels unstable every day, the first thing you need to look at is your sleep. Not your goals, not your work, not your motivation, but your sleep. Because when your sleep is broken, your mind becomes scattered. You can't think clearly. You get irritated easily. You start doubting yourself for no reason. You feel anxious, confused, overwhelmed, and none of it makes sense, because nothing is really wrong, but it feels wrong. And that feeling comes from one simple truth: your body and brain are tired. You can't expect your mind to stay strong when your system is running on empty. Your patience breaks faster, your reactions become sharper, you snap at people you love, you lose focus even during simple conversations. And the most dangerous part is, you start believing that something is wrong with you. You think it's a mental problem, you think you're weak, but the truth is, your brain is just not getting enough rest to do its job well. Most people underestimate how much sleep shapes their life. They try to fix everything else while ignoring the one habit that affects their mind the most. You can't stay calm if your brain is on survival mode. You can't think positively if your body is begging for rest. Your system becomes overly sensitive, and even small problems feel like heavy burdens. That's not a mindset issue. That's a recovery issue. Sleep isn't just about feeling less tired. It's about resetting your emotional system. It's about giving your mind the space it needs to repair itself. When you're well rested, you don't just have more energy, you have more control. You respond better, you speak better, you think better. You stop overreacting to small things. You stop second-guessing your every move. You start trusting yourself again, because your brain is finally working the way it's supposed to. People chase peace through books, therapy, breathing, and motivation. All of that can help. But if your sleep is broken, nothing else will work the way it should. You're building on a weak foundation, and eventually everything will fall apart again, no matter how much effort you put in. You must fix the root. So how do you fix it? First, stop treating sleep like it's optional. It's not extra, it's essential. You can't sacrifice sleep for success. You can't stay up every night thinking you're gaining an edge. What you're really doing is lowering your ability to make good decisions. You're burning out your focus. You're weakening your discipline. You might be awake longer, but you're doing things with half the power you could have if you slept well. Second, create a routine. Don't wait until you feel tired. Set a bedtime and honor it, the way you would honor an important meeting. You don't miss it, you don't delay it, you prepare for it. You wind down, you shut off distractions. You don't go from a chaotic day straight into sleep. Your brain needs time to switch modes. It needs calm, it needs silence. If you're scrolling on your phone or watching intense content before bed, you're telling your mind to stay alert instead of shutting down. Make your sleep space peaceful. Remove the clutter. Keep the room cool and dark. Put your phone away from your bed. Your sleep environment affects your nervous system more than you realize. The mind can't rest in chaos. You've got to build a space that supports your goal. Peace, not more stimulation. If your sleep is constantly interrupted or you wake up feeling exhausted, look at your habits during the day. Are you drinking too much caffeine? Are you working until midnight? Are you using your bed as your office? These things seem small, but they teach your brain to stay in stress mode. Your body doesn't forget how you treat it. You have to retrain it, give it the right signals. Now, here's something most people miss. Sleep affects your thought. When you're tired, your brain pulls in more negative memories and fears. You don't see opportunities, you see threats. You don't feel hopeful, you feel stuck. This is why people who are sleep deprived often feel like life is falling apart, even when it's not. Their mind is working against them, and they don't even know it. If you want to feel mentally strong again, you must give your brain the recovery it needs to function well. Your emotional balance depends on your physical recovery. The brain needs time to sort emotions. It processes stress while you sleep. That's why a good night's sleep can make a hard day feel easier. But if you don't sleep properly, yesterday's stress leaks into today, and the day after, and the day after that. And suddenly you feel like you're stuck in a loop of emotional exhaustion, and no amount of motivation can pull you out of it until you reset your sleep. People think strength is about pushing through, staying up late, hustling harder, But real strength comes from knowing when to stop, when to rest, when to protect your energy, not just spend it. You don't have to prove anything by destroying your sleep. You have to respect yourself enough to protect it. Fixing your sleep isn't about being perfect. You'll have nights where it's hard. You'll wake up sometimes in the middle of the night. That's okay. What matters is the overall direction you're taking. Are you building a life where your mind and body have a space to recover? Or are you always running, always chasing, always burning out? You want peace? Start with your sleep. You want clarity? Fix your sleep. You want better moods, better focus, better relationships? It all begins here, because once your sleep improves, everything else becomes easier to manage. You don't have to fight your emotions all the time. You don't have to force positivity. You just start feeling better naturally, because your system is finally aligned. Don't wait for a breakdown to start caring about rest. Don't wait until your body forces you to stop. Do it now. Make it a part of your lifestyle. Give yourself permission to rest. You're not lazy. You're not behind. You're rebuilding the one thing that allows everything else to work: your mind. And one more thing. The people around you notice. When you're sleep deprived, your energy changes. You show up different. You feel distant. You overreact. You pull away. But when you're rested, you're present. You listen better. You enjoy the moment more. You feel connected. Sleep doesn't just improve your mood. It improves your relationships, and that creates a ripple effect that lifts every part of your life. You don't need a perfect life to stay calm and positive. You need a body that doesn't feel like it's dragging itself through the day. And when you fix your sleep, you give yourself the best chance to live the kind of life you actually enjoy. You'll never regret sleeping well. But you'll always feel the cost when you don't. So if your mind feels unstable every day, don't try to think your way out of it. Start with your sleep. Start with rest. Give yourself the reset you need. And you'll see peace becomes possible again. Calm becomes natural. Positivity doesn't have to be forced. It becomes who you are. Because your system is finally giving you the strength to feel stable again.
Chapter 3. Distance yourself from people who ruin your mood. If you want to stay calm and positive in life, you've got to be honest about one thing. Some people are draining your energy every single day, and it's not always loud or obvious. Sometimes it's subtle. It's the person who always complains, the one who never supports anything good you're doing, the one who turns every conversation into a problem, the one who brings tension into the room just by being in it. These people may be close, they might be in your family, they might be old friends, but if they consistently ruin your mood, you need to step back. You can't carry peace in your life while walking next to chaos every day. You can try to be patient. You can try to be kind. You can give them the benefit of the doubt over and over. But eventually your mental state pays the price. If every time you speak to someone, you feel worse after, that's not a healthy connection. That's emotional damage happening slowly. You don't even realize how much they're affecting you until you're exhausted all the time, snapping at others, losing motivation or doubting your decisions. Your mood is not just a moment, it's a signal. And when someone constantly lowers your mood, that signal is warning you. It's telling you this environment isn't safe. Your body is reacting for a reason. You don't have to stay around people just because you've known them for years. You don't owe anyone your peace. You don't need to feel guilty for protecting your energy. You're not being rude. You're being responsible. It's not just about arguments or negativity. Sometimes it's the way they speak to you. It's the tone they use. It's the sarcasm, the passive comments, the constant reminders of your mistakes, the way they make fun of your progress like it's nothing. That subtle criticism builds up. It starts to shape how you see yourself. It clouds your mind. You start questioning things you were sure about just a week ago. And for what? So you can keep someone around who doesn't even know how to support your growth. At some point you have to ask yourself, how many times am I going to let someone disrupt my inner peace before I do something about it? Because you can meditate, journal, read and do all the self-care in the world, but if you go back into a toxic circle, none of that healing lasts. You keep resetting your own progress just by staying close to the wrong people. The hard truth is this: not everyone deserves access to your daily life. That doesn't mean you hate them. That doesn't mean you start a fight. It means you create space. You limit how much of your time and energy they get. You speak when necessary, but you don't engage deeper than that. You don't open yourself up to people who constantly take advantage of your kindness. You're allowed to put distance between you and anyone who brings more stress than support, even if they say they care, even if they act nice. Sometimes you've got to look at pattern. What do you feel after being around them? What do you think about yourself when they're gone? If the answer is tired, stressed, confused or sad, then that connection is not helping your life, and it's time to do something about it. This is where people struggle. They think they're being heartless for walking away. But ask yourself, are you okay constantly being the one who gets drained? Are you okay letting someone else control how your day feels? Because that's what's happening. You're sacrificing your mood, your focus, your joy, just to keep a connection that clearly isn't healthy. That's not noble, that's self-betrayal. You have to make a decision. Do you want to feel better, or do you want to keep pretending this relationship is fine? Because you can't have both. You can't stay calm if someone's always bringing noise. You can't stay positive if someone's always reminding you of what's wrong. You have to choose peace on purpose. That means creating new boundaries. That means saying no more often. That means walking away when someone crosses the line again. And here's the truth. People who truly care about you won't ruin your mood. They won't bring negativity into your day. They won't talk behind your back. They won't ignore your efforts. The ones who love you will lift you. They'll speak with care. They'll listen when you talk. They'll support your changes, even when they don't understand them fully. That's how you know the difference. Real connections feel safe. They don't feel like pressure. They don't make you smaller. They don't make you tired. They bring you calm. And calm is rare in this world. So when you find it, you protect it. You don't give it away freely. You don't let just anyone come in and break it. That's your responsibility to guard your peace like it matters. Because it does. Start noticing how people affect your energy, not their words. Their energy. How do you feel before, during and after seeing them? That's the truth. Don't ignore that. You can't fake your emotional state. If someone makes your body tense, if your stomach tightens when they walk into the room, if your mind starts preparing for conflict, that's your sign. You don't have to confront everyone. You don't have to explain yourself to people who aren't interested in changing. Just create space. Spend less time with them. Don't share personal things. Stop trying to fix them. They're not your project. You're not their therapist. You've got your own peace to build. You've got your own growth to focus on. And if someone keeps pulling you backward, you're allowed to let them go. Some people will notice the distance and try to pull you back in. They'll say you've changed. They'll guilt trip you. They'll act like you owe them your time. Don't fall for that. You've changed because you're healing. You've changed because you've finally decided to take care of yourself. You've changed because you know what peace feels like. And you're not going to trade that for anything anymore. The right people will support your boundaries. The right people will understand why you needed space. They'll meet you halfway. They'll want to grow with you. The wrong ones will try to make you feel bad for protecting yourself. That tells you everything. You don't have to keep everyone in your life. Some people were only meant to be part of your story for a little while, and that's okay. Not everyone is supposed to stay forever, but your peace, that's forever. Your mental health, that's worth protecting. Your happiness, that's your job now, and anyone who makes that job harder has to be kept at a distance. You'll start to feel stronger. When you stop letting the wrong people influence your emotions, you'll wake up lighter. You'll walk into your day with more clarity. You'll stop overthinking conversations that don't matter. You'll stop holding on to guilt that doesn't belong to you, because you'll finally be living your life with people who match your energy, your vision, your growth. You don't need to fix people who ruin your mood. You need to fix the part of you that kept allowing it. And that starts with distance, not out of hate, not out of anger, but out of self-respect, out of the deep understanding that you deserve to feel safe. You deserve to feel calm. You deserve to protect your mental state without apology. So take a good look at the people around you. Are they lifting your energy or draining it? Are they building your mindset or breaking it? Are they helping you grow or holding you back? Then act on what you see. Distance isn't always a bad thing. Sometimes it's the exact space you need to finally feel free.
Chapter 4. Do hard things early, so peace comes later easier. If you want more peace in your day, start by doing the hard things early. The work you avoid, the task you keep pushing, the call you're afraid to make, the responsibility that feels heavy, handle those first. Not because they're fun, not because they're easy, but because they steal your calm if you don't. When you delay the hard stuff, your brain doesn't forget it. It keeps reminding you, in the back of your mind. It lingers. It affects how you feel, how you focus, and how you treat other people. That one thing you didn't do starts to grow into stress, guilt, and tension. But when you knock it out early, you create room for peace. Most people start their day with easy tasks to feel good for a moment. They answer simple messages, they check notifications, they scroll through social media, they feel like they're doing something, but nothing meaningful gets done. And slowly, the harder task they skipped begins to weigh on them. They start avoiding it more, they get distracted, they get irritated. Then they say the day felt stressful. But it wasn't the day, it was their delay. Peace doesn't come from avoiding difficulty. It comes from attacking it directly, early, and without excuses. Hard things aren't just about physical effort. Sometimes it's a tough decision. A conversation you've been avoiding. A boundary you need to set. An honest reflection you don't want to face. These aren't loud tasks, but they sit in your chest. You feel them every hour, and the longer you wait, the heavier they feel. But the moment you handle them, something shifts. You breathe better, you feel lighter, you move through the rest of the day with more control, because you're no longer being pulled backward. The human brain is built to remember unfinished things. It's a survival tool. But in everyday life, it becomes a source of pressure. When you leave hard things undone, your brain doesn't rest, it stays alert. It keeps checking, reminding, worrying. That's why you feel mentally tired, even when you've barely done anything, because your brain's been running in the background all day, trying to push you toward action. And when you finally take the action, all that pressure goes away. Not because the task was huge, but because the weight of ignoring it is always heavier than the task itself. Success doesn't come from doing easy things repeatedly. It comes from doing what's hard when it's time. It comes from facing the uncomfortable early, before it has time to grow into something harder. People who succeed in life have the same problems as everyone else. The difference is, they don't wait for the perfect mood. They don't wait for motivation. They do the hard thing anyway, and that's why they win. That's why they feel more peace.
Not because life is easier for them, but because they've learned to act before pressure builds up. There's a strange thing about doing hard things early. It gives you energy. It feels like the opposite should be true, but it's not. The more responsibility you take early in the day, the more power you feel throughout the day. You walk taller. You think clearer. You carry confidence, because you know you've already handled what others are still avoiding. That feeling makes you more effective, more focused, and more emotionally balanced. You'll notice this in your relationships too. When you've done the difficult work, you're not as reactive. You're not snapping at people because of hidden stress. You're not checking out mentally during conversations. You're more patient. You're more present. That's the kind of peace that isn't temporary. It lasts, because you earned it through your actions. And here's another truth. Hard things don't go away when you ignore them. They get louder. They grow into anxiety. They spread into other areas of your life. What started as a small task now feels like a personal failure. What began as a 5-minute job now feels like a mountain. You don't need more time. You need to stop avoiding. Avoidance is what keeps people stuck. Action is what sets people free. Start noticing how you feel after doing something hard. Your mind feels more steady. Your breathing slows down. You stop overthinking. You stop comparing yourself to others. You feel more connected to what matters. That's not by accident. That's the reward for doing what needed to be done before everything else. If you want to be someone who stays calm under pressure, practice doing hard things when it's most uncomfortable. The earlier you act, the less time your mind has to fear the task. The moment you start, the fear loses its strength. Action makes the problem smaller. Avoidance makes it grow. You don't need perfect planning. You don't need to feel brave. You just need to start. This mindset builds momentum. One hard thing leads to another win. You start trusting yourself. You stop doubting your ability. You stop waiting for perfect conditions. You stop thinking everything needs to be aligned before you take action. You learn to rely on discipline instead of, and that discipline leads to something most people never feel: inner peace that doesn't depend on circumstances. You don't need to change everything overnight. Start small. Choose one hard thing each morning. Do it before you check your phone. Do it before your mind gets flooded with distractions. Build the habit of early effort. Teach your system. That peace is something you create, not something you wait for. You don't need to rush. You don't need to pressure yourself. But you do need to be honest about what you've been putting off. Be honest about how it's affecting your energy. Be honest about the way avoidance steals your confidence. Then make a decision to handle it. Not later. Now. Because the sooner you deal with difficulty, the sooner you return to peace. People who stay calm and positive aren't lucky. They've built habits that protect their mind. And this is one of the strongest habits you can build. Do the hard thing before the day tries to distract you. Start with responsibility. Start with challenge. Start with what matters most. Then let peace follow your action, not precede it. This approach works. It doesn't require talent. It doesn't require more time. It just requires consistency. And over time, you'll notice something powerful. The more you get used to doing hard things early, the easier your life becomes. Not because life is less demanding, but because you're stronger. You're faster. You're clearer. You're no longer carrying a list of things you wish you'd done. You're carrying proof that you did them. That proof becomes pride. That pride becomes peace. If you've been feeling overwhelmed, scattered, unmotivated, ask yourself this: what am I avoiding? What have I delayed that I know I need to do? That's the source of your stress. It's not the size of your to-do list. It's the weight of what you keep skipping. Start with that one thing. Don't overthink it. Don't make it dramatic. Just do it. And watch how fast your mind returns to calm. This principle isn't just about productivity. It's about peace of mind. It's about emotional health. It's about becoming someone who lives life on purpose, not someone who constantly reacts to pressure. That's a different kind of life. And it's available to you the moment you choose to stop waiting and start doing. So every day before you do anything else, ask yourself, what's the hardest thing I need to face today? Then go do it. Not because it's fun, not because it's easy, but because it's the doorway to the peace you keep looking for. Peace doesn't happen when life is perfect. It happens when you stop running from the things that make you stronger. And the earlier you face those things, the more freedom you create. That's how you build a calm and positive life. By showing up with courage every morning before the world starts pulling at you.
Chapter 5. Clean up your space to calm down your mind. When your mind feels crowded, when your thoughts are all over the place, and you can't focus, it's easy to think the problem is in your head. But more often than not, the problem is sitting right in front of you. It's in your room. It's in your kitchen. It's in your workspace. The mess around you is feeding the mess inside you. And if you really want to calm down your mind, start by cleaning up your space. There's a real connection between your environment and your mental state. You might not notice it at first, but the clutter around you is constantly speaking to your brain. Every item out of place, every pile of clothes, every unwashed dish is sending you signals. It's saying, you've got unfinished business. It's reminding you that you're behind. It's draining your mental energy, even when you think you're ignoring it. You can't relax in a space that keeps reminding you of what you haven't done. People underestimate how much their surroundings affect their mood. You sit in a messy room and start to feel tired. You walk into a cluttered kitchen and suddenly feel overwhelmed. You try to get work done on a desk full of papers and you can't think straight. That's not a coincidence. That's your brain reacting to overload. Your environment is feeding your stress without saying a word. And when that stress builds up, your thoughts get more chaotic. You start snapping at small things. You lose track of what matters. You carry a weight that doesn't belong to you, but it's there because your space won't let you breathe. You don't have to make your space perfect. This isn't about creating a magazine photo. It's about creating order. It's about removing the things that make you feel out of control. A clean space tells your brain, you're safe, you're in control, you've got room to think. And that's powerful. That gives you clarity. That gives you focus. That gives you the calm you've been chasing. Cleaning isn't just a physical act, it's emotional. When you pick something up and put it where it belongs, you're telling yourself, I'm taking responsibility. You're saying, I care about how I live. That message matters because the way you treat your space reflects the way you treat your own peace. A messy environment often means a mind full of avoidance. It's not laziness, it's emotional overload. But when you start cleaning, you take that power back. You'll feel it shift. As the floor clears, your thoughts clear. As the table empties, your anxiety drops. As the clothes get folded, your stress lowers. And the best part, you don't need hours to feel the difference. Even 10 minutes can make a huge impact. One drawer, one shelf, one small corner. That small act says, I'm doing something. And that something breaks the cycle of chaos. That something creates momentum. Most people try to solve internal problems by going deeper into their mind. They journal, they reflect, they try to talk themselves out of stress, but they're still sitting in a space that makes them feel overwhelmed. The mind wants peace, but the space says chaos. That contradiction wears you down. You've got to bring the outside in line with the inside.
You can't keep living in a storm and expect your brain to feel clear. You need order, you need space, you need room to think and breathe. This doesn't mean you become obsessive, it means you become intentional. You stop walking past that pile of papers pretending it doesn't bother you. You stop telling yourself you'll clean it later when you know later never comes. You take a look around and ask, what in this space is adding pressure to my day? Then you get to work, not because cleaning is fun, but because peace is worth it. And you'll start noticing something else. As your space clears, your habits improve. You stop procrastinating as much. You make better decisions. You feel more present. That's not magic. That's the result of removing mental friction. You no longer have to climb over a mountain of distraction to get things done. You no longer feel stuck before the day even begins. A clean space opens the door to a better routine. It helps you think forward instead of getting pulled backward. When you clean, you don't just move objects. You shift energy. You reset your mind. You send a message to yourself that says, I deserve better than this mess. And that message matters more than you know. Because if your space is always chaotic, your mind will start to believe that chaos is normal. But if your space is calm, organized and cared for, your mind starts to reflect that too. It starts to slow down. It starts to focus. It starts to breathe. You're not doing this for anyone else. You're not doing it to impress visitors or chase perfection. You're doing it because your peace matters. You're doing it because you're tired of living in a place that doesn't support your goal. You're doing it because your environment should feel like a source of strength, not another battle to fight. Don't let stuff pile up. Don't let clutter become normal. Every time you walk past a mess and say, I'll do it later, you're letting that stress stay in your life a little longer. And that stress doesn't stay small. It grows. It turns into frustration. It turns into burnout. You've got to take control of it. You've got to build the habit of cleaning up your space, not once a month, but daily. Not when it gets unbearable, but when it starts to get off track. That habit will change your life. Make it simple. When you wake up, take 5 minutes to tidy up. When you finish eating, clean your plate. Before you go to bed, clear your surfaces. These aren't big tasks, but they add up. They build a standard. They create a home that feels like peace, not pressure. And over time, that peace becomes your new normal. Don't wait for motivation. Don't wait until it feels right. Do it because your mind deserves relief. Do it because your future needs space to grow. Do it because you're ready to stop living in distraction and start living in alignment. You can't fix everything in a day, but you can start. You can look at one corner of your life and bring it into order. That one corner will lead to another, and soon the space around you will begin to reflect the person you're becoming. Calm, focused, intentional. There's no secret formula, just this truth. A clean space creates a clear mind, and a clear mind is where calm and positivity begin. So if your head feels full, don't go looking for more motivation. Don't go searching for deeper answers. Look around, clean something. Let your hands do what your mind can't. Create the peace you've been missing. It starts with you. It starts with your space. And it starts right now. Chapter 6. Speak less when angry to avoid making it worse. When you're angry, your words become weapons, not just for others, but for yourself too. In moments of anger, you don't see things clearly. You don't think through consequences. You just speak from emotion. And the problem is, once the words are out, you can't take them back. You might apologize later. You might explain yourself, but the damage is already done. That's why speaking less when you're angry is one of the most powerful disciplines you can build. It doesn't mean you ignore the problem. It means you don't make it worse. Anger is natural. Everyone feels it. It's not about pretending you're not upset. It's about managing yourself when you are. Most of the regrets people carry aren't from being angry. They're from what they said or did while angry. That moment you lost control, raised your voice, said something hurtful just to win the argument, or pushed someone away when they didn't deserve it. Those moments can ruin relationships, kill trust, and damage your own peace of mind. When you're angry, your heart beats faster, your body gets tense, your breathing changes. That's your system entering fight mode. It's not a thinking state, it's a survival state, and that's exactly why you have to pause. Not everything you feel in that moment needs to be said. In fact, most of what you say when you're angry doesn't reflect what you really mean. It's heat, not truth. Staying quiet when you're upset doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise, because anyone can explode, anyone can shout, anyone can blame. That's easy, but it takes real strength to stay grounded when your emotions try to pull you in. It takes maturity to say, I'm going to wait before I speak, because I want to handle this the right way. Think about how many arguments in your life got worse simply because someone didn't stop talking. Maybe it was you, maybe it was them, but it always comes down to the same thing: too many words, said too fast, with too much emotion. Now imagine if, in those moments, you just stayed quiet, just for a few minutes. Let the heat pass, let your thoughts settle, let your body calm down. That one decision could have saved a lot of pain. Anger is loud, and silence in anger feels uncomfortable. But that silence gives you power. It gives you space to listen to others, to your own thoughts, to the situation as it really is, not as it feels. When you speak in anger, you speak from emotion. When you wait, you speak from intention. One of the greatest skills you'll ever build is emotional discipline. Not suppressing how you feel, but managing it wisely. Saying, I'm upset right now, but I'm not going to act like someone I'll regret later. That level of control doesn't happen overnight. You build it, you practice it, you fail at it, and then you try again. But over time, it becomes who you are. You stop reacting to every trigger. You stop letting small problems become full-scale battles. You stop feeding drama with your words. The truth is, most anger passes quickly if you don't feed it. But if you keep talking while you're angry, you keep fueling it. You keep giving it more reasons to grow, and it doesn't stay in that one conversation. It spreads. It leaks into other areas. You start carrying tension into places where it doesn't belong. You become shorter with people who didn't do anything wrong. You hurt people you care about because you never slowed down to check yourself first. If you want to live with more peace, practice silence when you're heated. Not because you're scared to speak, but because you're smart enough to know that your words carry weight. You're aware that even if you say sorry later, the damage might still stay. You care enough about your future to not throw words into the air just because you're feeling something intense in the moment. Anger will come. That's a given. Life will test your patience. People will say things that get under your skin. Circumstances will go against your expectation, but you get to decide how you respond. And that response shapes everything: your relationships, your self-image, your progress. Calmness in anger doesn't mean you're avoiding conflict. It means you're handling it with purpose instead of pressure. And sometimes silence is the best reply. Not because you don't have anything to say, but because not everything needs to be answered immediately. Some things need time. Some feelings need to be processed before they're spoken. Some situations aren't even about you. They're just emotional storms that you don't have to walk into. Train yourself to recognize the signals. When your body starts heating up, when your chest feels tight, when your jaw clenches, that's your sign to slow down. Breathe. Get space if you need to. Don't let people pull you into reactions. Don't let your emotions decide your words. Take control of that moment, because that moment can decide so much more than you think. You might think speaking your mind in anger makes you strong, but real strength is knowing that your words can either build or break, and choosing not to break something you'll miss later. It's knowing that you'll think more clearly after the heat passes. It's trusting yourself enough to know that staying quiet now is better than fixing damage later. You'll notice that people respect you more when you don't lash out, when you don't react just to prove a point, when you speak only after you've had time to think. That respect isn't just from others, it's also from yourself. You'll feel proud that you handled a tough moment with grace, that you didn't become what made you angry, that you didn't lose control just to feel powerful in the moment. You don't have to win every argument. You don't have to prove your point every time. Sometimes the real win is walking away with your peace intact. Sometimes it's saying, I'll talk when I'm calm, not when I'm triggered. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. That's what leaders do. That's what emotionally strong people do. That's what people who value their relationships do. Don't let one heated moment define your day. Don't let one outburst undo weeks or months of trust. Don't let your emotions drag you into places your mind knows better than to go. Less when you're angry, not because you're hiding, but because you care about what happens next. Your peace matters more than your pride. Your future matters more than being right. Your growth matters more than proving someone wrong. And when you understand that deeply, you start choosing silence over noise, thoughtfulness over reaction, understanding over impulse. In the end, you'll never regret the words you didn't say in anger, but you'll often regret the ones you did. So give yourself space, let the moment pass, then speak, not to hurt, not to defend, not to win, but to move forward. That's how calm people think. That's how strong people live. That's how you build a life where peace isn't an accident. It's a habit.
Chapter 7. Write down what's bothering you to clear your head. Your mind can only hold so much before it starts to overflow. When thoughts build up with no place to go, you feel it. You feel tired for no clear reason. You feel heavy, distracted, short-tempered, anxious. You forget simple things. You lose focus in conversations. You start feeling stuck, and you try to push through it, hoping it will pass. But it doesn't, because your mind isn't broken. It's just full, and one of the most effective ways to deal with that mental overload is to stop thinking and start writing. Write it down. Get it out of your head and onto paper. It sounds simple, too simple maybe. But the truth is, writing gives your thoughts structure. It takes what's spinning in your mind and puts it where you can see it clearly. That alone brings relief. It's like letting air out of an overfilled tire. You don't have to solve everything right away. You just need to let it out. Writing helps you understand what's really bothering you, because when everything stays inside, it gets tangled. One worry connects to another. One bad moment turns into a whole bad day. But when you write it out, you start to separate things. You see the exact thoughts causing the pressure, and sometimes just seeing them written down makes you realize they're not as big as they felt. There are moments when you don't even know why you feel off. You just feel unsettled. That's when writing becomes a mirror. You start with a sentence that doesn't even make sense, and by the time you've filled a page, you realize what's been eating at you. It's a conversation that didn't sit right. It's a goal you've been avoiding. It's something you heard days ago that you're still carrying.
You couldn't see it clearly because your brain was too crowded. But the pen pulled it out. That's the power of writing. It clears the fog. Most people don't write because they think they have to sound smart. They think it has to be perfect. That's not the point. You're not writing a book. You're writing for your own sanity. Nobody's grading it. You don't have to be poetic. You just have to be honest. Write exactly what you're feeling, even if it doesn't sound right. Even if it's messy. That's what makes it real. That's what makes it work. Your mind holds on to things it thinks are unfinished. That's why your thoughts keep coming back to the same problems. It's trying to find a solution. But when the problem is emotional or unclear, it gets stuck in a loop. You replay it over and over, hoping it will make sense. But it won't until you pull it out of the loop and put it somewhere real. That's where writing comes in. It's not just about expression. It's about relief. There's something powerful about seeing your thoughts in front of you. It separates you from them. You realize that just because a thought is in your mind doesn't mean it's true. Just because you're thinking it doesn't mean it deserves your energy. Writing helps you challenge the thoughts that don't serve you. It gives you a place to question them, to reframe them, to replace them. You'll notice that when you write consistently, your self-awareness grows. You catch patterns. You notice triggers. You learn how certain people or situations affect your mood. You start recognizing what really bothers you versus what just feels uncomfortable for a moment. And that self-awareness is a game changer. Because once you understand yourself, you're no longer at the mercy of your emotions. You stop reacting blindly. You start responding with clarity, and you don't need to write for hours. Even 5 minutes a day can change the way you carry stress. Just open a notebook and ask yourself, what's bothering me right now? Then write whatever comes up. Don't judge it. Don't analyze it. Just let it out. You'll be surprised how much lighter you feel afterward. It's like setting down a bag you didn't know you were carrying. This is especially important when you feel overwhelmed. Overwhelm isn't always about doing too much. Sometimes it's about thinking too much. You're carrying conversations in your head, playing out future problems, replaying past mistakes, worrying about things that might never happen. And all of that takes space. Writing helps you reclaim that space. It helps you organize what matters and what doesn't. It gives you the power to focus on what you can actually control. You don't need fancy journals or complicated systems. All you need is something to write on, and a willingness to be honest. You don't even need full sentences, bullet points, phrases, fragments. Just let it flow. You're not trying to impress anyone. You're trying to help yourself. That's what makes this practice different from talking to someone. You don't need anyone's approval. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to worry about being misunderstood. It's just you and the page. And the truth. Over time, your journal becomes more than just a place to vent. It becomes a record of growth. You look back and see how far you've come. You read entries from weeks or months ago, and realize that what felt unbearable then is something you've now handled. That gives you confidence. It reminds you that you're capable, that you've overcome before and you can do it again. Some days you'll write things you didn't even know you were feeling. That's okay. Let it out. That's how healing begins. Not by hiding, but by facing. And writing gives you the safest way to face yourself without pressure. Nobody else is involved. No one else needs to understand. You just need to be willing to release what's stuck inside. This isn't about escaping life. It's about dealing with it better. It's about creating space in your mind so you can breathe, think and act without the weight of everything pulling at you. Your mental clarity is worth the time. Your peace of mind is worth the effort. And writing, as simple as it seems, is one of the most direct ways to get there. You don't have to do it forever, but do it when your head feels full. Do it when your chest feels heavy. Do it when you don't feel like talking to anyone, but you know you need to say something. The page will always be there. No judgment, no interruptions, just space for you, your truth, and your healing. Start now, not tomorrow, not when it gets worse. Write, pick up a pen, open a note, and write what's on your mind. Even if it's just one sentence, even if it feels uncomfortable, especially if it feels uncomfortable. That's where the power is. In facing what you usually avoid. In speaking what usually stays buried. Because once it's written, it no longer owns you. It no longer controls your mood. It no longer weighs you down in silence. You've named it. You've seen it. And now you can move forward with a clearer mind and a lighter heart. That's how you stay calm. That's how you stay centered. Not by ignoring your thoughts, but by releasing them in a way that helps you breathe again. That's the power of writing. And it's yours to use anytime you need it. Chapter 8. Handle one problem instead of thinking about 10. When life feels overwhelming, it's usually not because of how big your problems are, it's because you're trying to carry too many of them at once. The weight becomes unbearable, not because one issue is crushing you, but because 10 are pulling you in 10 different directions. Your mind jumps from one thing to the next without finishing anything. You start solving one problem, then another thought interrupts you, then something else pulls your attention, and before long nothing gets done, and your mind feels like it's spinning. If you want to find peace again, stop trying to figure everything out at once. Handle one problem. Just one. That's how you get your mind back. Your brain wasn't designed to process multiple problems at the same time with equal focus. It tries, but it can't. What it does instead is switch between problems rapidly, and every time it switches, you lose mental energy. You waste willpower. You create internal noise, and that noise keeps you stuck in thinking instead of doing. That's why you can spend hours worrying, and yet make no progress. Because worrying about 10 things doesn't move anything forward, but doing one thing, one real step, that's how progress begins. There's a difference between being busy and being productive. Being busy often means you're thinking about a lot, stressing about a lot, and touching everything but finishing nothing. Being productive means you pick one task, one challenge, one problem, and you give it your full attention until it's resolved or moved forward. That's where mental relief starts to return. That's when your stress starts to come down. You feel capable again. You feel in control. Most people don't realize how much pressure they create by trying to hold everything in their head at once. They carry bills to pay, people to respond to, goals to chase, fears to confront, responsibilities to manage, all at the same time, and none of them are given the proper time or space to be handled. They're all floating around, demanding attention, crowding your thoughts. That leads to anxiety. It leads to procrastination. It leads to exhaustion without any real progress. You're tired not from doing too much, but from mentally juggling too many things. The solution is simple, but powerful. Choose one, not 10, not 5. 1. Ask yourself, what's the one thing right now that needs to be handled? Then do just that. Close off the rest. Push them aside, not forever, but for now. You're not abandoning anything. You're choosing wisely. Because when everything feels urgent, nothing truly gets the attention it deserves. You'll notice a shift when you start living this way. You stop panicking about the size of your to-do list. You stop bouncing between tasks with half energy. You start making real decisions instead of circling around them. You give your mind something it's been craving: focus. And with focus comes progress. With progress comes confidence. With confidence comes peace. That's the chain you want to build. Don't wait until life slows down to find calm. Life doesn't slow down. You have to slow it down. You have to slow your mind down, and the fastest way to do that is to zoom in on just one thing. Don't overthink it. Don't try to find the perfect starting point. Just pick the most important or most pressing issue and give it your full presence. Even if you don't finish it, even if you only take one step forward, that's more progress than thinking about it for 3 hours without acting. Discipline isn't just about pushing harder, it's about choosing better. Choosing fewer distractions, choosing clearer priorities, choosing one problem and giving it your full mind. That's real strength. That's how you stop feeling like you're drowning in your own thought. You anchor yourself in one task, and the noise begins to fade. This practice becomes even more important during stressful times. When your emotions are high, your brain will want to jump from problem to problem. It'll look for shortcuts. It'll try to fix everything fast to feel better. But that urgency only creates more mistakes, more mess, more pressure. The best thing you can do in those moments is pause, breathe, and bring yourself back to one thing. Say it out loud if you need to. Right now, I'm only focused on this. That single statement can pull you out of mental chaos and put you back in control. Some people think multitasking is a strength. But what's more impressive is the ability to say no to everything else until this one thing is handled. That's where peace is created. In the discipline to focus, in the courage to simplify, in the clarity to say this is all I need to do right now. You don't need to solve your whole life today. You just need to take care of one piece of it, then another, then another. That's how you rebuild. That's how you stay steady in a world that constantly tries to pull your attention in every direction. Most people quit not because they can't handle one task, but because they're overwhelmed by all the tasks they haven't touched. Break that cycle. Make life simple again. Ask yourself daily, what's the one thing that would make today better if I finished it? Then go do that. Don't let your brain trick you into thinking you need to do everything right now. Most of your stress isn't from the work itself, it's from the pressure of trying to do it all at once. And if you feel stuck, if you don't know where to start, just write everything down. Get it out of your head. Put all 10 problems on paper. Then choose the one that feels most important, the one that, if handled, would reduce the weight of the others. Focus there. You'll be amazed at how much lighter you feel when even one burden is removed. This isn't about moving slow, it's about moving smart. It's about not wasting energy, thinking about problems you're not in the position to solve today. Life will always give you more to handle, but peace comes from knowing that you don't have to handle it all at once. You're allowed to go one step at a time. You're allowed to focus on one problem and let the rest wait their turn. You're not behind. You're not failing. You're just overwhelmed because you've been carrying too much in your mind. Let that go. Choose one thing. Handle it. Then move to the next. And when you live like that, calm, focused, present, you become more efficient, more confident, and more at peace. Not because life got easier, but because you got wiser. That's the difference. That's how people who seem calm under pressure do it. They're not avoiding problems. They're managing them one at a time. You can do that too. And it starts right now. Chapter 9. Be around people who actually make you feel safe. You can do everything right. Wake up early, work hard, eat clean, stay organized. But if you keep surrounding yourself with people who don't make you feel safe, your peace will always be temporary. The truth is, the people you spend time with either protect your calm or constantly put it at risk. And when your goal is to live a calm and positive life, you need to be more careful about who you allow close, because no routine, no mindset, no habit can make up for the damage of unhealthy relationships. You need people who feel like safety, not stress. You know the difference. There are people who drain you, and there are people who make you feel okay just by being there. Some people make your heart beat faster in all the wrong ways. You get nervous before seeing them, you feel small around them, you filter your words, you question your choices. And even after they leave, their words stay in your mind. That's not safety, that's survival. You're trying to keep the peace by shrinking yourself. That's not how you're supposed to live. Now think of the people who make you feel safe. They listen without rushing to judge. They don't make you feel weird for being real. They don't use your honesty against you later. When you're with them, you don't have to pretend. You can be quiet. You can be loud. You can speak your mind or say nothing at all and still feel seen, still feel supported. Those are the people who restore you. They don't make life perfect, but they make it easier to face. Feeling safe isn't a luxury. It's not something to feel guilty about wanting. It's something you should expect. Because emotional safety is the foundation of peace. You can't stay positive if you're always on edge. You can't grow if you're constantly protecting yourself from the people around you. You need space where your nervous system can relax, where your guard can come down, where you're not scanning for criticism in every word. Too often people normalize tension in their relationships. They say things like, "That's just how he is," or "She didn't mean it like that." But if you keep explaining away someone's behavior, it means you've stopped listening to your own discomfort. It means you've gotten used to stress, and what you get used to, you begin to tolerate, even if it's hurting you. That's how people lose themselves, not in one big moment, but in 1,000 small ones, where they chose connection over self-respect. You don't have to stay in spaces that shrink you. You don't have to keep showing up for people who don't care how they make you feel. You can love someone and still choose distance. You can care about someone and still protect your peace. That's not disloyalty, that's maturity, that's wisdom. That's knowing your worth and choosing it even when it's uncomfortable. People who make you feel safe aren't always loud about it. Sometimes it's the quiet friend who remembers what you said weeks ago. Sometimes it's the person who sits with you in silence without needing to fix you. It's the one who lets you feel what you feel without making it about them. That's safety. It's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent, being kind, being someone you can count on when life gets hard. You need to ask yourself, who do I feel like myself around? Who makes me feel better after a conversation not work? Who gives me space to grow instead of pulling me back into old patterns? The answers to these questions are your guide. Follow them. Build more time with those people. Pull away from the ones who bring chaos. That decision will give you more clarity than any goal-setting session ever could. There's a calm that comes when you don't have to explain yourself all the time. When your presence is enough. When your words don't have to be perfect to be understood. That's the kind of energy you need around you. That's what helps your nervous system recover. That's what makes healing possible. That's what allows your positive mindset to take root and grow. Don't confuse intensity for closeness. Just because someone talks to you every day or checks in constantly doesn't mean they're good for you. Look at how they make you feel. Do they lift you or do they pull you into drama? Do they support your growth or do they make you feel guilty for changing? Do they celebrate your wins or make them about themselves? The answers matter. Don't ignore what your body and mind are telling you. When you're around safe people, your energy isn't used to protect yourself. It's used to live, to love, to create, to be fully present. You stop overthinking every word. You stop playing out imaginary arguments in your head. You stop hiding parts of yourself just to keep the peace. And in that space of real safety, something amazing happens. you grow faster, you laugh more, you think clearer, you sleep better, because peace becomes your baseline, not your escape. Your environment influences your emotions more than you think. If you're always feeling anxious or negative, don't just look inside, look around. Who's in your daily space? Who are you texting, calling, sitting beside? If their presence adds tension instead of relief, it's time to make changes. You're not being harsh, you're being honest, and honesty with yourself is the first step to a more stable life. It's okay to outgrow people. It's okay to leave places where you once felt safe, but no longer do. That's not betrayal, that's progress. That's the cost of becoming who you're meant to be. As you grow, your need for real connection grows too. You don't want surface-level conversations anymore. You want depth, you want truth, you want presence, and that means finding people who speak that language, not just in words, but in how they make you feel. You'll never regret protecting your peace. You'll never look back and wish you stayed longer in a space that made you feel small. But you will regret ignoring the sign. You will regret not listening to your gut. You will regret giving chance after chance to people who never changed. Save yourself from that cycle. Choose safety now. Choose it in every relationship. Choose it in how you spend your time. Choose it in what you accept and what you walk away from. People who make you feel safe don't require you to explain your worth. They see it, they honor it, they support it, and being around those kinds of people doesn't just make you feel better, it makes you become better. It brings out the version of you that doesn't have to constantly defend, prove, or fix. That version is calm, that version is clear, that version is free. You deserve to live a life where you feel supported, not drained, where your emotions are allowed, not judged, where your growth is encouraged, not blocked. That kind of life is possible, but only when you surround yourself with people who help build it. Start looking for those people, start becoming one of them too. Be someone who gives the same safety you want to receive. That's how you create the environment you've always needed. Nothing changes until you decide to raise your standards. Not just in your goals, but in your relationships. Not just in how you work, but in how you feel day to day. And the first standard to raise is this: only give access to people who make you feel safe. The rest can keep their distance, not out of anger, not out of bitterness, but because your peace is no longer up for negotiation. You've worked too hard to build it. Now it's time to protect it. That's how calm becomes real. That's how positivity lasts. That's how you finally feel at home in your own life.
Chapter 10. Track how you feel so you can stay balanced. You can't stay balanced in life if you don't know what's really going on inside you. Most people wake up, go through their day, and go to sleep without ever checking in with how they actually feel. They might notice they're tired, frustrated, or anxious, but they don't stop to ask why. They just push through, hoping the feeling will go away. But when you ignore your emotions, they don't disappear. They build, they pile up. They start affecting your choices, your habits, your sleep, your health, and your relationships. That's why one of the smartest and most important things you can do for your well-being is track how you feel. Tracking your emotions doesn't mean overanalyzing every little thought. It means taking a few minutes each day to check in with yourself. It means being honest about your energy, your mood, and your state of mind. It means asking questions like, how do I feel right now? What's been weighing on me today? What lifted me up? What brought me down? These aren't complicated questions, but the answers tell you everything. They tell you what's working in your life and what's slowly pulling you off track. Balance isn't about doing everything equally. It's about knowing when something in your life is taking too much of your time, too much of your attention, too much of your energy. And the only way you'll know when that's happening is if you're paying attention. When you track how you feel,
Patterns start to show up. You start to see what drains you. You notice who leaves you feeling stressed. You become aware of the choices that lower your motivation and the ones that help you feel steady again. This kind of awareness doesn't come from reacting to life. It comes from reflecting, from observing without judgment, from learning the rhythm of your emotions and using that insight to guide your decisions. Because when you ignore your feelings long enough, your body starts speaking for you. You feel burnt out. You feel anxious for no reason. You lose the drive you once had. And then you wonder what happened. But it didn't happen overnight. It happened because you stopped listening to yourself. You don't need to track everything in a complicated system. A simple journal entry works. A voice note, a mood tracker app, even a daily one-sentence check-in like today, I felt overwhelmed after that meeting, or I felt peaceful when I took that walk. That's enough to start building awareness, and the more consistent you are, the clearer the picture becomes. You no longer have to guess what's causing your stress. You'll know. You'll see that every time you skip your morning routine, your patience drops, or every time you stay up late watching the news, your energy is off the next day. These insights are powerful. They help you make smarter choices without needing anyone else to tell you what to do. When you start tracking how you feel, you also learn how to support yourself better. You stop blaming yourself for every low moment, and you start noticing what you need. Some days, you might need more rest. Other days, you might need more movement. Some days, you need deep work. Others, you need connection. Tracking gives you that data. It helps you stop guessing and start understanding. People who stay calm and balanced aren't lucky. They've just built habits that give them real-time feedback on their emotional state. They don't wait until they're burnt out to take a break. They don't wait until they're miserable to make a change. They course correct early because they know what to look for. That's the power of paying attention. That's the power of writing down what's real instead of pretending everything's fine. If you keep ignoring how you feel, your body will eventually force you to pay attention. Through illness, through mental fatigue, through breakdowns that seem to come out of nowhere. But if you build the habit of checking in every day, even for just a few minutes, you catch those warning signs early. You notice when something feels off. You make small adjustments before things spiral. That's what real balance looks like. It's not about being perfect, it's about being present. Tracking your feelings also helps you manage your relationships better. You start seeing which connections bring out your best self, and which ones trigger stress or insecurity. You understand how certain conversations affect your energy. You get clearer on your boundaries, and when you're clear on your own emotional state, you stop expecting others to fix it for you. You take responsibility without self-blame. You become more grounded. The goal isn't to feel amazing all the time. The goal is to be honest, to know when you're doing well and when you're struggling, without hiding from either. Because even in low moments there's strength in awareness. There's power in being able to say, "Today was rough, but I know why." That one sentence is better than pretending you're okay and pushing forward while your mind falls apart inside. When you write your feelings down, they stop circling your mind. You give them a place to land, and sometimes that alone gives you relief. You no longer have to carry everything silently. The act of writing becomes an emotional release. It gives you space. It gives you clarity. It allows you to take a step back from the storm and see things more clearly. The reason so many people feel out of balance is not because their lives are too full. It's because they're too disconnected from their own needs. They've spent so much time on autopilot that they've stopped noticing how they really feel. And when that happens, even small problems feel massive. Even a good day feels empty. You can't fix what you don't feel, and you can't feel what you don't notice. That's why tracking is so important. It brings you back to yourself. You'll also learn how much your environment and habits influence your mood. You'll realize that some of your low energy isn't emotional, it's physical. You didn't drink enough water. You skipped meals. You stayed in a messy space. These things matter. Your brain and body are connected. And by tracking your emotional state, you start to take better care of the physical routines that support your mental health. And the best part, you start trusting yourself more. You stop second-guessing every decision. You stop relying on other people to validate how you feel, because you've got the receipts. You've got a record of what works and what doesn't. You've got proof that you've been through hard days and made it through. That builds confidence. That builds emotional stability. That helps you stay balanced, not just when life is easy, but especially when it's not. You're not meant to live in reaction mode. You're meant to live with awareness. And that awareness begins when you slow down enough to ask yourself, how do I really feel right now? That one question, asked daily, can change your life. It becomes your anchor, your tool for direction, your check-in before the storm hits. Start today. Take 5 minutes. Open a note. Write one sentence. Right now, I feel, and finish it. Don't overthink. Don't edit. Just be real. Do it again tomorrow. And the next day. Over time, you'll notice yourself becoming more stable. Not because your life became easier, but because you finally started listening to yourself. That's how you stay balanced. That's how you protect your peace. That's how you stay mentally strong. Not by ignoring how you feel, but by checking in, often enough to catch yourself before things fall apart. You're not weak for needing this. You're wise for choosing it. You're building a habit that will serve you for the rest of your life. A habit that turns emotional chaos into clarity. A habit that turns confusion into confidence. A habit that gives you the self-awareness to live with intention, instead of just going through the motions. That's the work. That's the real growth. Not just doing more, but feeling more, understanding more, responding better. And it starts by simply tracking how you feel. Every day, without judgment, with honesty, with compassion. That's how you keep yourself steady. That's how you keep showing up with clarity. That's how balance becomes your lifestyle. Not a lucky moment, but a daily decision.